Hello, and welcome everybody to another episode of Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and this is episode 515. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Stacy, that is at Stacy Payton89 on Twitter. See what's going on.
Is that Stacy Payton?
Stacy pain in my ass. Yep. You got it.
Doing all right. How about you?
I am doing well. We are we're very much in the dead period of the NBA offseason. And I know that because today Fred Katz wrote a piece all about Quentin Grimes' next contract, which I think only 5 people in the world care about. 2 of them are related to Quentin Grimes, probably. All right, we're not here to talk about Quentin Grimes because he's no longer on the Knicks. He's on a much worse and disgusting East Coast team now, in a horrible city that has no sports success ever, right, Stacy? All right, we're gonna move on. We are gonna introduce our guest. That is Jaycee. You can follow him on Twitter at. I'll let him spell that out for you. Jaycee, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. It's weird being on here after so many episodes that I've seen myself on YouTube. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have you on. We are going to talk about the sport of basketball. But before we do that, I have to make a few announcements. First, that Strickland has a YouTube channel. Maybe you're watching this podcast if you haven't done so already. Please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment that be usual to us. The Strickland also has some merchandise you can find on our website at www.strick.land. There's a link that'll take you to the merchandise store, and there's all kinds of cool stuff on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we got it. The Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to Strickland, the podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Picks My Views Bozos podcast, hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, along with Zach Blatter, and you get access to the Strickland Discord. The conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gives you access to Strickland Roll, the pod that I now host with YC, where we rant and rave with the Knicks even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matt Miranda, one of the best in the business, and you get access to Strickland NFL, which you guessed it is a podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos and Desmond Novak. There are further tiers. There's $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and a $100 tier. That's going to variety of additional benefits, like listening on our product courses, merchandise discounts, and potentially co-hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. This would be possible without you. So without further ado, let's get started. I don't know that anything has actually no. Things have occurred in the Knicks universe. We have confirmation that some assistants will be leaving. We have confirmation of 2 assistants, I believe both from the Kings, that are confirmed to be joining the Knicks. Charles Allen III and Ricardo Foyce, I believe. And then, or maybe Charles Allen III was, I don't remember these names, man. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty checked out on assistant coaching hires. I don't know if anybody has any major thoughts on this. I guess Pablo Prigioni decided to stay in Minnesota. That's the other main piece of news. Any thoughts, either of you? Feel free.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I think there was another name from the Clippers, Brendan, because they haven't filled the top assistant. I think they were looking for Pablo with that. Brendan O'Connor was mentioned as the next target. I don't know as much. So the thing is, he is, according to Google Gemini, so take it with a grain of salt. As we've learned, he also apparently thinks Luka Doncic has a 42-inch leap. But he is regarded for his defensive coaching abilities. I think Ty Lue is a more offensive coach, right? So what would be interesting is my theory, and what they did the first time was they hired Tibbs, very defensive-minded coach, and then complimented him with with Johnny Bryant, who was more offensive focused and all of that, right? And I think you've spoken a lot about how much it looks like they missed Bryant this year. And so that's what I thought, that it seemed to make a lot of sense, right? The guys they're talking to for the head coaching role were almost all offensive or defensive guys. Borrego, they talked to him about it, but I think that was more to gauge his interest in being an assistant. But Kidd is a defensive guy. Nori's a defensive guy. They put out feelers to a lot of the coaches that were already on teams. But I thought that was kind of the strategy. So it'd be interesting if O'Connor is more of a defensively focused guy. Is Brown going to take more of the load there? Even though he's a defensive guy, he's going to import what he did in Sacramento. That's what's interesting to me, because my guess would be they probably want the top assistant to be like an offensive coordinator to have that balance, which works so well for them.
Yeah. I don't really have. Yeah, I know getting the balance is right. I also think just in general with basketball, like this isn't exactly like football. Like even guys that have more of an offensive lean have to do some coaching both ends of the floor. I mean, and you're weighing this stuff we think about this when we just think about lineups, right? You're always weighing like what is the benefits offensively, what are the benefits defensively? Does that create a better aggregate? So like I think that even with all this stuff, it's like there'll be a lot of guys with their hands and kind of on both sides of the ball. But yeah, I mean, you would probably want it's. I don't know. I got to be honest though, the Mike Brown thing is just weird in the sense of he was like a defensive guy. Like that was his, that's his foundation as head coach. That was like what he was really good at with Cleveland when he first was head coach there. But like his Kings teams were mostly like they were very offensively tilted, and they looked just from how they played basketball perspective vastly different from anything we've seen from him before.
But how much of that was Jordi Fernandez, do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they were still playing this way last year, and then I don't know. A lot of that reporting is weird to me because then it came out that Jordi Fernandez was more of a defensive guy. Like I don't. This is kind of where I'm like, maybe everybody is doing everything all the time, and we're just fucking stupid. But like, I just wonder if he feels like maybe he needs more support on the defensive end of the floor or something. Because like you mentioned, the Brendan O'Connor, his background seems to be more of a defensive, or more on the defensive side of the ball. So I can't really like speak to it. I guess I just want to see what the staff looks like, obviously, but more importantly, I don't know that we can draw. I don't know that there's much to draw conclusions on until we actually see them play basketball games and see what does it look like. Because, I mean, we got the reporting in Summer League, right, that they were like playing faster, right? They had been a point of emphasis that they wanted to get the ball off the floor. And there were statistics. I'm not going to pull up the specific ones about, they were getting the ball off the floor faster than they did in the regular season. They were getting into more sets frequently and faster in the half court. So those are the type of things I'm most interested in. And I just like, they could hire fucking Red Auerbach and Phil Jackson and Pat Riley to be the assistant coaches. I mean, I don't know if Pat Riley or Phil Jackson, maybe you would want them coaching anymore. But like, it wouldn't matter until we actually see what the product starts to look like. So, and that, like for us, it's kind of easy to just wait for that. And I'm not saying, obviously the Knicks themselves can't, they have to fill out the staff. And then they need to get those guys working with the roster. And honestly, the roster itself has not been finalized yet, right? Like they still haven't signed another vet, which we know they have space for and that they will do at some point. We know that Mohamed Diawara is coming over, but we still don't know what contract he's on. Is he on a two-way? Is he going to take a second, if he's going to use the second round exception to get on a normal rookie contract? Like we still don't have answers to that. Are they going to keep Kevin McCullough Jr.? Like, these are not necessarily the most consequential decisions you make as a franchise, but they are nonetheless decisions they have to make. So it's a very weird offseason for the Knicks for sure. I like what they have done initially in terms of, you move on from Tibbs, bring in Mike Brown. I'm fine with that. And then I think getting Yabusele, getting Clarkson, those are good additions. And then the other part of it that we still don't have answers on are, what are they going to do are they going to extend Mikal Bridges? I'm assuming they will, because you traded 5 fucking first round picks for him. So probably going to extend him. And what are they going to do with Mitchell Robinson? That might be a little bit more of a different, difficult one to answer, because we know his extended, like it's two sides, right? He's a tremendously impactful player when he plays, but he's also a massive injury risk. So do you want to extend him right now coming off of, I genuinely believe this was like the best I've seen him play probably ever. I thought he was fucking amazing in the playoffs. Like, do you want to extend him now, or do you want to play it out going into the season and maybe revisit it later on? And that's a risk too, like which we talked about, I think last time you were on, Stacy, where it's like, hey, if you play that game, then maybe he plays really well in the regular season, and he's like, yeah, actually, I'll wait. Let's wait till off season and get back to this. So, like, as much as we've talked about the coaching, and obviously that for sure deserves like attention. It's just that there's still a lot of these smaller little details with the roster and everything, and their salary cap, I guess, when you start thinking about extending guys, that they have to figure out and sort out. So, yeah, I don't know. I know I just talked there for a little bit, but Jaycee, I don't know. What do you? I guess like just with the extension stuff. I don't know. I know there was like the report that they don't want to extend, that they won't extend Mikal Bridges until they know for sure that Giannis isn't going to ask out. Like, I don't actually totally buy that report. Like, I kind of think that might be how people are reading it, and maybe that is true. But I don't think Giannis is asking out. I don't know. I would be surprised if he asked out at this point. Maybe he was. Maybe he actually hates Miles Turner. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the whole like the Giannis reports with the Knicks, it's a little like annoying because I think that those dreams died when the day you traded for Mikal. Like he's obviously, if he does get traded, it'll be for 1,000 picks, which we don't have. So I think they just need to give that up. As for the Mikal thing, it is a little worrisome. Because when he came, it was automatically, he'll take a pay cut, and not everybody wants to. Not everybody's Jalen Brunson that could just leave a lot of money on the table.
Stacy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd echo what Jaycee said. I think the Turner deal pretty much cemented it. I don't think he's leaving. I think he probably wanted to see from the front office that they're doing something. Maybe that bodes well for him because he's not thinking just now, right? If he stays in Milwaukee long term, once he is on the downward end, are they going to be aggressive in finding someone to play with him or do those things? So it showed, I think, enough faith that they were willing to do it. I also don't know that Bridges' contract would be untradeable anyway, or cause an issue with that. So if anything, it might help if you don't want to give up cap. You have a different salary. Sorry, Jaycee.
Yeah. No, sorry about that. Somebody walked in. But I did see somebody, it might have been one of you guys, but somebody did say online that like maybe like they're just focused on the coaching staff first before they focus on any player, and Mikal might get extended later on. His people might be waiting to like not being able to get traded at the deadline. So there's different situations. I think like you have to, you made the big gamble of wanting to keep him in. He's still a good player. He was just underutilized. Like people have to think he's running around chasing guards that are faster than him and expected to put the ball on the floor on the other side. So maybe we'll see a better version of him, but I think he is worth that. He's not worth the max. I wouldn't give him that 156 for 4, but they could definitely be a middle ground of like a pay cut, but also he gets his money. And I think that Giannis stuff, they just need to give it up, to be honest.
Did he just get disconnected?
Was that me? Did you guys do that? Or was that me? Okay. What I was saying is just that, like, the Giannis dream, I think it died once you traded for Mikal. I think Giannis, if he were to get traded, which I don't think he is, he's going to go for 1,000 picks. And he's still a good player, was underutilized. He sometimes had beef with Tibbs. I think he's worth money. He's not worth 156, but there's definitely a middle ground. And they could just be waiting on like finalizing the coaching staff, figuring out different things. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of small things that they have to take care of. So I don't believe the Giannis stuff at all. I just think their priorities are elsewhere. But I think Giannis and Mitch will be back. Mitch is a different case, but I think Mikal for sure. I mean, Mikal and Mitch will be back. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's just hard for me to see what trade would be out there that would even make sense to move them at this point. Either of them, to be quite honest. And who knows? Like I thought last year that was kind of the roster heading into the season, and then the day before fucking training camp or whatever, we trade for Karl Anthony Towns. So who knows? Maybe they have something up their sleeve. Maybe there's something big, but yeah, it doesn't feel like that's what's happening to me. It just kind of, and again, I don't want to read too much into this stuff because it doesn't always mean shit, but like, Mikal was out in Vegas and he was, we saw him like kind of talking to the coaching staff and Leon and Wes and all those guys and, with the rookies. I think there was a picture of him, right, with at the training camp in Westchester before those guys flew out for Vegas. So, yeah, I just don't, it is a little weird, but then at the same time, just kind of like, I don't know, it's the off season and genuinely, like, a lot of these guys are probably just on vacation. Like, this is like the vacation time for the NBA. So, they might not even be in New York. I mean, I hope they're not in New York today. That's for damn sure. But yeah, so I'm not like that apprehensive about the coaching staff or the players, but yeah, in the back of my mind, would I like prefer that everything was just kind of neatly in order and in place right now? Yeah. I also do wonder with like because all this extension stuff is always so weird because it's like if Mikal extended, so if he extends today, for example, then whenever the next time he comes up for an extension, it would be like July 29th of that year or whatever it is. It's always like weird with that. Like I know I was just listening to Zach Lowe's pod today, and I guess like because the last time PJ Washington, when he signed the contract that he's on currently, he signed that in like August with the Hornets after sitting out in restricted free agency for a while. So because of that, he's not actually extension eligible until August of this offseason, which is whatever, I think 2 years down after he got traded. So stuff like that, I'm like, I don't know if that ever plays into it. It might, for all I know. So I always kind of wonder about that as well. All right. I think we can move on from the Knicks because they don't seem to have much going on right now. But Stacy, Jaycee, I have an exercise for us, and I think this will be a fun exercise that everybody can get into the spirit of. We're gonna do a draft. And what we're drafting today is you get to pick any four team agendas, player agendas that you will be rooting for going into the season. This doesn't need to be Knicks specific. And more importantly, this does not need to be a positive agenda. It could also be a negative agenda. So you can pick any team in the league. You can pick any player in the league, unless I tell you can't pick that player because it's stupid and not worth talking about. So, we'll. I'm not going to go first because that would be wrong. Stacy, how many fingers am I holding up in my left hand off screen?
4.
2.
You held them together interestingly, Shwin.
Yes. Yep. That's how I do it. For certain. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Jaycee, you get the first pick.
With my first pick, mine is a negative. Mine is literally a hate watch because this team's fans think that they're on top of the world after trading for Ashton Hall, but it's the Orlando Magic hate watch. The Orlando Magic, I'll be hate watching them because they think because they got Desmond Bane that they're on top of the East, that they're going to take this leap. But what I tell people is that before and after that trade, they still have the same issues that they had last year, which is they don't have a real point guard. They did sign Tyus Jones, but he's not going to go close games after all those starters that they have. And they have no real, center play that can be used in actual, contention games. So I'll be hate watching them. Their fans think that Banchero is like the next LeBron. So yeah, I'll be hate watching those.
I don't get the Orlando thing. I really don't. I've been trying to think about this the entire offseason where I'm like, they're better. Desmond Bain is good. He makes them better. I actually don't care that much about the picks they gave up. I think it's like fine. Because they're too good to probably suck and like whatever. Like at some point you got to make a move and actually get good players. So fine, go ahead, get Desmond Bain. I just don't get like why is this team's offense going to be good? I still struggle with that part of it because Desmond Bain is good, but their offense has sucked the last forever, basically. And so it's just like Desmond Bain immediately makes them a really good offense. Like, I don't know. And, for as good as their defense was in the regular season, and I think they had the second best defensive rating in the league, I didn't think they defended that great in the playoffs against Boston. And like, I guess like Boston's a tough team to defend. We know that. And okay, fine. But like, if your whole thing is, this is kind of like the ethos of our team is we're this lockup defensive team and it's going to be a nightmare to score on us. Well, that needs to hold true even against the best teams. And that wasn't necessarily the case against Boston. And I guess, I mean, the last part of it is I just don't, the starting lineup is Suggs, Bain, Franz, Paolo, pick a big. Is that good? Like, is that actually a good lineup? It's better than what they had. I think that's probably not a question to be no question there. But like, I don't know. I'm just not convinced of it. I don't know that Suggs' bad shooting last year was actually an outlier. I think it might be that his good shooting in his third year was the outlier. He like also doesn't. Exactly like that. It's exactly like that, right? Where it's like he shot 40%, and I was like, great, figured it out. We're good to go. Him and Julius Randle are both 40% 3-point shooters forever now. This is how it works, right? That's how it works. But it is like that. It's exactly what it's like, where it's like, yeah, he shot really well for 1 year. Does that mean he's going to shoot well every year? I don't know. And he's injury prone, which is significant. Yeah, I don't know. And even Desmond Bain, he gets injured. Like he misses like 20, 25 games every year. And like I know his numbers look really good, and he is really good. I'm not even denying that. I just, I'm seeing fucking tweets from like Ben Pfeiffer about like, oh, there's only 7 players in the league that put up 26 and 5 and like fucking on 60 true shooting, and it's like 6 superstars and Desmond Bain. I'm like, stop. Like, please do not do that. Like, don't do that because we know that's not true. If that was true, Memphis would be better, and Memphis would never have blown that team up. That's just how it is. So to me, it's more like Desmond Bain's good. It's good to get better players, but ultimately, this is all it is to me all about Paolo and Franz. It's all about those guys, and if those guys can't shoot, I don't know why this team's ceiling is like, are they the third best team in the league in the East? Sure, whatever, maybe. I'm not as sold on they are now a contender and they're in the same tier as Cleveland and New York. I don't buy that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else is. I'm higher, when we've talked about this, I'm higher on Orlando than you are. But I do think they're trying to solve 2 different problems. Jaycee, you kind of hinted at this, right? But they don't really have a reliable guard initiator, right? Paolo is, very interior heavy. Franz can do that, but he's not like a point guard. And so Bain has that creation ability, but he can also create spacing. So if you look at this most generously, you're saying you can have kind of this creator by committee, which I know a lot of people are skeptical of. Prez is for sure. You have this creator by committee where Franz, Paolo, and Bain are sharing the load, but also Bain is spacing for Paolo and Franz. How will that work out? It's worth mentioning also that KCP didn't fit in well. So that archetype, is Bain going to have a smooth adjustment the way their offense and their team works? I don't know. He's obviously a lot younger than KCP. That could have just been decline. I do think I'm higher on them than like Atlanta, for example, which me and Shwin discussed. But I think it's a very clear top 2 and then everybody else. and they are in that everybody else tier. And I don't want to spoil any of my future takes, but part of it is that I am very low on or I don't want to spoil any of my draft picks. But part of it is that I'm pretty low on certain other teams. So I still do think Orlando's firmly third, but they're not in the same tier as Cleveland or New York. I definitely agree with that.
Good. Okay. So we all hit the fucking Magic. Great. Good stuff.
We're
all right.
muggles.
Stacy, go for it.
I'm going to go with a positive one. My agenda is Jalen Brunson is way more than the ball dominant point guard. I mean, I saw him in the trade. This is a fringe thing, probably.
I know exactly what this is.
Because De'Aaron Fox, I think it was the same person. He said he's a better shooter, and I was like, where in fucking beer pong? Like, there's no. He's
De'Aaron Fox.
True point guard.
De'Aaron Fox doesn't drink.
Okay, so he's also lame and fucks up the vibe. So but you know, I do think there's something I think we're gonna find out, right? There's people who say Brunson is inherently this guy. He needs the ball. He needs to be slow and methodical. That's not conducive to winning. And then I think our approach has been that's really more of a Tibbs thing. We're gonna find out this season, and I'm willing to bet. Maybe he don't look like Steph Curry, but he ain't gonna look like Trae Young. I'm willing to bet that he's going to be used more off ball. They'll have more creative ways to leverage Cat as a playmaker. They will hopefully get more out of Mikal as a playmaker. And I think you're going to see Brunson's efficiency go up and be conducive to a more, a spread, a more of a egalitarian offense while still getting his. And it's going to be great for the Knicks. And a lot of people are going to have to eat crow.
The Brunson thing is quite interesting. The Knicks had like pretty awful shot quality relative to their talent last year. They vastly outperformed it. I think that's almost entirely down to both Karl-Anthony Towns, but largely Jalen Brunson as well. Those two guys, honestly, they carried the Knicks offense and buoyed it in a lot of ways that probably would not be as appreciable to a lot of people unless you're watching every single game the way we do, because we have, we have a sickness. I totally agree. I don't buy that he is like, this is how he wants to play. Like, I don't think this is the sum total of his game that he cannot play more off ball. And I don't buy it because he literally played off ball for fucking, many seasons next to Luka Doncic. We saw him play off of Julius Randle really well. We saw him, like him and Emmanuel Quickley, when they would be on the floor together, he would get off the ball at times. Like, it is obvious to me that he has, nobody is Steph off ball, right? Because Steph is, he's his own fucking thing. He is like the only guy like that. Every comparison that anybody ever makes to Steph is dumb because there has never been another Steph, and there probably will never be another Steph. And that is a one of one. But to the point you're making of like, can Brunson get off the ball more? And can you use him in different actions, at least attempt to use him in different actions, the way that Golden State has to leverage Steph's gravity off the ball, and also just to make his life easier so that he can get some shots off the ball? Are there ways to do that? And I think there definitely are. And and more than that, like, I think that he has a great fucking off-ball skill set. I mean, I feel like every time Brunson gets any type of good catch and shoot look, I'm like, that's the best fucking shot we could get on a possession. I feel that. Like, I'm like, anytime he gets an open three, I'm like, that is the best possible outcome of this possession, of any possession, arguably, other than, like a layup or a dunk or something, right? I think he has a tremendous off-ball skill set. His catch and shoot numbers year on year on year are always fucking like super, like really, really good, like really good to elite. Does he have the movement shooting piece of it like Steph? No. Can he get off a 3-point shot? under duress the same way as Steph or as frequently as Steph? Probably not. But we don't really. I mean, I don't think the standard should be we need you to be Steph Curry. I think it's more like what you're talking about, Stacey, is can you just be more? Can you give us more of those actions? And even some of the stuff with like De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis in Sacramento, right? Where like you get Sabonis at the at the high post or at the elbow, and then you're having Fox come off from the corners and running around doing a handoff with him. Like, can you use more actions like that? And I tend to feel like I don't know if his efficiency will go up just because I think his efficiency is. I mean, what the hell was he? 62 shooting last year, Brunson. I don't know that you can expect a lot more than whatever Jalen Brunson gave you last year, but I don't feel like his impact was maximized, and I think there's definitely another level there that you can get to if you fully leverage everything he gives you offensively and not just like the great on-ball, creator with all of the fucking, clutch time heroics. Like if there's more to it than that, and we saw that with Steph, right? That happened with Steph, where Steph was like, I think people don't remember that Steph made, he made an All-Star team before Kumbaya Ball under Steve Kerr happened. Like he was elite. I mean, his first 5 years in the league, Steph Curry was he had a 59.2 true shooting, and he averaged per game,
which was much higher for that time, by the way. The league average must have been mid to low.
Yeah. And per game, this guy was averaging, this is first 5 years again, 26.7 assists, 4.1 rebounds. He was 46, 44, 89.6 from the field, 46.7, 44% from three, 89.6 from the free throw line. He was ridiculous. Like he was an incredible player. He finished second in Rookie of the Year voting, his first year in the league. I think that was either Blake or was that Harden? Yeah. So like he was a ridiculous player before, and then he went to another level. Like because that's what can happen if a player who's already great gets put into a system now that has like more going on for him and is fully leveraging everything he has. By the way, fun fact: his highest assist year was actually his last year with Mark Jackson, which is kind of funny to think about. I don't know, Jaycee, any thoughts on
the I go back and forth a lot with Twitter trolls or like Brunson haters, and the one thing they always bring up is his on-off stats. Like the advanced stats are not nice to Brunson sometimes, and just being Knicks fans, we can see it that like there's times that Tibbs has tried to do like Brunson off-ball stuff. It's slow. It wasn't the best, but there is kind of a mental factor with Wingstop and Cat that they like just give in to Brunson ball. Like they don't really want the ball. They're just dribbling to try to look for him. They're not creating their own shot. And I think that comes from an offensive system. And I tried to tell people that, but they don't understand. Like obviously when he's off the floor, people are going to be more confident because they don't have that Brunson ball mentality in their minds. And specifically Josh Hart would just like dribble the ball until Brunson got the ball. But I think that now with an offensive system, hopefully centers guarding Cat where he can like just pass normally and not out of doubles, you'll see that. And there's two types of Knicks fans. Ones that believe in January Knicks from 2024 and ones that don't want to hear about it. But we know what we saw. Brunson, he was playing off Randall a lot, and that team was just moving the ball. They had their offensive system. That's something that we can do. And it's easy for people to say, oh, that Brunson needs his Nemhard. He needs his off ball, but it's not really easy to find. I think your Nemhard will come from a new coach and a new offensive system. And I think we're going to see that, he doesn't have to be Curry, like you said, just have a competent offense, and not just Brunson ball. And I think we'll see a better version of him with that.
Sorry, I just wanted to add real quick. It was neither Blake Griffin nor James Harden. So quick trivia.
Oh, was it Evans? Is that Tyreke Evans? Yeah. Yeah. He was
Griffin did win it, but he was injured his first year. So
yeah, he had a crazy rookie year, Tyreke Evans. With the Brunson thing, yeah, like I think to what you're talking about, like if your coach is, for better or worse, Tibbs was like he was going to ride or die with Brunson. then obviously, like, your team is geared to play that way, and inherently guys are less confident probably in looking to score for themselves. And honestly, it's not even necessarily about confidence so much as like it's not designed for them to. Like they're not supposed to be doing that. So look, we saw what Mikal Bridges and what OG Anunoby were more capable of when Brunson was out. Now, you're not going to win a championship with those guys like being the biggest ball handlers on your team. So we know we need Jalen Brunson to do that. But there is a better mix. I think there's definitely a better balance to be had than what the Knicks had last year. And look, Mike, that's for Mike Brown to figure out. That can he find the mix? Is there that mix? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're all wrong, and there's just not enough shot creation, not enough ball handling on this roster to get there. But okay, I'm going to keep the positive vibes rolling. But I'm staying in New York, but I'm not staying with the Knicks. I have a surprise positive agenda. I think Cam Thomas is really underrated at this point. That's my agenda. Cam Thomas last year, he was 97th percentile in offensive EPM. He finished 86th percentile in overall EPM. He is what did he do last year? Last year, he didn't play that much, unfortunately, for him, which he's paying for now. He played 25 games, averaged 24 points, 43.8, 35% from the field, 51.3 EFG. He had a 57.5 true shooting last year, which is a career high. His trajectory looks pretty good to me. Rookie year, 21st percentile in offensive EPM. Second year, 55th percentile in offensive EPM. Third year, 88th percentile. And last season, 97th percentile. I have a lot of questions about him. I feel very confident that he cannot be the primary ball handler on any type of serious competitive roster. I think that him fucking losing his shit, that Zach Lowe said that he doesn't pass that much other than as a last resort, was probably not the best look for how he views himself or carries himself or his ability to simply take constructive criticism. But I do like his talent. To me, like, the guy can score the ball. I don't think that's like really a debatable thing. He certainly needs to learn how to get off of the ball more. He needs to learn how to play off of others better than he does. But like, I don't know, man. I'm looking at a league and you're telling me that like there's not a single team in the league could throw this guy like, I don't know, $360 million or something. Like, I don't know. You look around, I see a lot of bad contracts, and I see a lot of guys that can't score. And I see teams that desperately need any type of shot creation. I don't know. I think that when we're at a point, well, like, I think there was a report that like people are talking about his offers were like, any offers he got were less than mid-level money. And to me, at that point, he's just underrated. Like, he is absolutely, to me, a guy that is worth the mid-level extension money. If you can score at that level, if you can create at that level, is he perfect? No. But like, he is 23 years old. He's going to enter his age 24 year. He's shown a significant positive trajectory as a scorer. He doesn't do fuck all else, but his passing has improved over the last over his career, really. Last year, he was at 6 assists per 100 possessions. He had a 22.9 assist percentage. Now, relative to his usage, that's not great. So, like, this speaks to his need to get off the ball more, pass the ball more. All that shit is accurate and fair and true. I just would bet on a player that has shown this type of positive offensive impact and ability to score. And ability to score last year on that fucking Nets team is like, that's not saying nothing.
Who are you taking, Cam Thomas or Austin Reeves? Because I asked that because there was the report that Austin Reeves turned down $90 million, but he wants more money. He probably wants above 100.
Oh yeah.
And there's, it's definitely conversation. So who are you guys taking between them?
I would take Reeves for sure, but like, Reeves is going to get, I I think he'll probably get like 40 million, something like that. I think there'll be a team that'll pay him a lot. I mean, maybe I'm overestimating the market, but there's gonna be a lot of teams with money next summer, and he is a guy who's shown that he can, at least in the regular season, be a primary ball handler when tasked with that. So, and he's efficient. He is very efficient, and he does have a good off-ball scoring skill set too. So I would take him over Cam Thomas, but like that's kind of the point I'm making, where Austin Reeves is worth. He's going to get paid about, like I said, I think 35, 40 million a year, something like that. If I could, like, again, if Cam Thomas's market was like, if I could get him for like 19, 20 million for a couple of years or something, I would take that shot. Because I do think there is a world where, like, if the fucking light can go off for the guy and like he's a little bit more willing to listen to constructive criticism, that he could really pop. Because the scoring to me is real. I do think it's real, and I think when you see the kind of like that type of offensive impact improve year over year, that actually speaks a lot to me. And like even his, last year was like his best on-off year. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking off, and maybe this is like another Terry Rozier moment. But I kind of buy the Cam Thomas is just. I think he's underrated, and I think that he deserves probably a little bit more. I don't want to say respect, but like, I just think the conversation around him is really fucking weird all the time.
Yeah, I mean it's a few things, right? Number one, like these combo guards are not getting valued, right? Malik Monk is on the market. I don't know why the Kings are doing that, but nobody has traded for him.
Did you see the report that they want to trade Monk or Devin Carter so that they can sign Russell Westbrook? Like, why is that a fucking thing?
Yeah. I mean, I like both those players. Monk is more of a veteran, so that would be a little bit understandable. Carter, I have no idea. I actually liked him in Summer League. He was a guy I know Prez is really high on and would have been perfect for the Knicks.
Isn't he somebody's son? He's Anthony Carter's son, right?
Is he? I didn't realize that.
So. Yeah.
I mean, everyone's someone's son.
Yeah.
But and then every draft prospect is apparently Prez's son. So, it's so there's the combo guards being devalued. It's also like it became such a thing, and like I can't watch Cam Thomas without thinking of "Ball Don't Stop" in that monologue. Dare you saying it for the 1,000th time on this podcast? You know what I'm talking about. And that's become this kind of fault line, right? Where like these are, it's DeRozan and all of that, and you can't overcorrect, right? Which I think is happening a little bit. I think it's worth noting his passing has improved, and when he's played the Knicks, I think he slows the ball down and all that, but they didn't really have any shot creators. I think he's not as much of a he isn't forcing shots the way you might expect from someone like that, where he's blind. And to that point, I think that's something that DeRozan started to do much later in his career when he went to San Antonio. The questions are, can he play off ball? I think he has the shooting to do it. He is a deadly shooter, and he has that quick release. He can get it off against the contest. He's great at getting to the foul line. And again, like to your point, like as much as we might say, well, do you take constructive criticism if you're going at Zach Lowe? Clearly, someone has gotten to him because he has evolved. He's improved. Some of that is in the gym, but even to your point, the passing has improved incrementally. It's not going to change overnight.
And I don't think either of us is suggesting that he's going to ever become some like elite playmaker or something.
Yeah, but can you get to? I don't think he'll get to Kyrie Irving level, but like, even a guy like Schroeder has turned into a pretty good player. I think Cam has untapped potential on defense, and I will say this. Because he's a big body, right? And he's not. I don't think his lateral quickness is a leader.
No, but he's strong. Yeah,
he's strong. He's got a big frame. They're an unserious team, right? We have said this, right? Like players on unserious teams are not going to be asked to play defense. That's just not as
well. They'll be asked to play defense. They might just be like, "No, I'm good."
So I think the go-to for a lot of Knicks fans is he's glorified Alonzo Trier, but we saw Trier's efficiency went down, and he truly was a black hole. That's not quite Cam. The question, one guy I'm interested to see the impact. I know like it's draft and Nets hype, whatever. There is an article I think we've discussed by Owen Phillips from I think his Substack is called F5, we talk about which stats translate the most from summer league to the NBA, which had the highest correlation. And 3-point attempt rate was the highest one. And Igor Demin, I think it's Demin or Demon, his 3-point attempt rate was the highest in summer league. So he can space for Cam, but he's also known as like a pure point guard prospect, right? Like he can pass. And I wonder, like, that's a little bit of a wild card to me. Can that amplify Cam a little bit, right? Can that get him to do some of the things really we're asking about Brunson? I don't, but there is a starting level player there. Maybe not a guy you want as your full-time ball handler. And again, I mentioned Kyrie again. I don't think he's that good. But can he play that role? Kyrie has looked best when he's played next to a big wing initiator, when he's played next to another initiator. Where you can both seek his scoring, but he isn't relied on as a playmaker as much. Although I do think Kyrie's a very intuitive passer. Like that's probably the most underrated part of his game. I think that's interesting to me, and it's not a bad bet to make. But I do think, like the market is just corrected. And it always happens, right? Centers are devalued. Now combo guards are devalued. I think 3-and-D wings at some point, or like when people get called 3-and-D wings, it's usually one or the other, right? That's why OG is so valuable, because it really can do both at a high level. I think, you go through shifts like that, and I think that's what's happening right now. So again, is he a centerpiece on a team? No. Is his ceiling maybe the second option on a good team? I don't think that's crazy. He does have to evolve his play style, but that's what you're worried about, right? Is this a guy who does nothing else, can't play next to a star, but also can't play next to a star, but also needs the ball? And if you're playing him next to a star, even if he's a great scorer, does it give you enough on defense? Does it give you enough, without hijacking the offense? Those are the questions. But to your point, the trajectory, we've overcorrected maybe on Cam.
I think the best way to put it is like, I see people like fucking losing their minds that Kuminga got offered only $20 million a year, and I'm like, Kuminga's actually fucking bad. Like he's actually not good at the sport of basketball at the NBA level. Cam Thomas is actually good at something. Like he's like actually a very good scorer and has improved like his playmaking. Is it good enough at his usage and all the shit? No, fine. But like he's actually capable of, arguably the hardest thing to do on the court, right? I think there's value there, and I just think that it's weird that like. I mean, maybe it's not that weird, right? Given the cap situation, and we know that most teams in the league don't have money. Fucking ironically, the only team that has money is the fucking Nets. But like, so maybe it's not that weird that he's still hanging out there in restricted free agency and doesn't seem to have much of a market at the moment. But like, I just, there are teams where I'm like, it feels like this might be a guy that you could like roll the dice on and see if you have something there. I don't know.
Real quick to add to that. Are the Nets just being cheap, or does that say something to you that they're not trying to extend?
Well, there's also the idea of like, and
this is going to damage the relationship, even if he has to sign a qualifying offer. That's not a great position to be in.
The big thing is that a lot of people are, at least I've seen a lot of like people on NBA Twitter hint at, is like this is a little bit of collusion on the part of teams around the league to like keep the restricted free agent market down. We know that another sports league is dealing with collusion of their own kind right now with the NFL. But like, it doesn't really say anything to me. Like, because if anything, what I would say is Cam Thomas, I think I have a very clear idea of what he is. He's a good but flawed player. To me, that's not a player that doesn't have value or that's worth less in the middle of exception. Now, maybe the league, I think there's an argument to be made that maybe the league is too down now on this archetype, and it feels a little reactionary just based on like the fact that OKC won the title. Like that's what it really seems like to me. Because if combo guards have no value, I don't know. Like, so why does Aaron Nemhard have value? Because he plays next to Tyrese Halliburton? Like, so is it situational? And I get it. Like, I know Andrew Nemhard's like, I know he's a good defender, right? Okay, fine. Cam's not a good defender, so that introduces a different dynamic. I'm just saying, I think to be entirely out on this specific like archetype is a mistake, because to me, there's a difference between like Anthony Simons, who is now 27 and has clearly proven that he's not a high impact player, versus a player like Cam Thomas, who's 23, has been in a very shitty situation, has never really been like fully embraced by the franchise and given an opportunity, which is also somewhat reasonable considering he was what, the 26th pick or whatever the fuck he was. Like, to me, that's a different thing. And the Monk thing is weird to me too, because I'm like, Monk is actually a good player. So just because he has flaws and he's a specific archetype that teams, for whatever reason, are like, no, we can't even have one of these guys. That's a mistake to me. Like, that is a mistake to me. And just for, the record, and not saying this tells you everything, but Malik Monk last year was 86th percentile offensive EPM. He was 86th percentile offensive EPM the year before, 87th year before that, 84th year before that. So Cam Thomas has now had 2 years in a row offensive EPM superior to Malik Monk's best. That doesn't tell you everything, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you definitively that Cam Thomas is as good or better than Malik Monk, but that does speak to why I believe, like, I think that he's been underrated, and I think that he's probably, like, if he gets a shot next year, and he might just be back on the Nets for a year, and, like, he'll get to jack up 50 fucking shots a game, I think he's going to earn himself a lot of fucking money, because I think if he stays healthy and puts up numbers again, then I believe, and like we said, the passing maybe it ticks up a little bit more. Then I think teams are going to be like, okay, maybe this is a guy. So
I think I do agree that the league is undervaluing these combo guards, but in the Nets specific situation, it pains me to say, but I think they're being a little self-aware. I think, like you guys mentioned, like, you need to put these combo guards in like specific situations and build the right team and whatever and things like that. And I think the Nets are aware that they don't have shit on their team. So I think that's why they're not looking to, because if you do extend him for 4 or 5 years, he's going to be jacking up shots with Igor, them, and then the other guys that they picked. And that's probably not a good combination. But I definitely think I do agree, if he goes to another team and a team that has direction, that has a system, he's willing to do the small things. I definitely think you see his value for sure.
Yeah. Let me follow up real quick. So I talked about centers being undervalued for some time. Some of that was the analytics thing and the pace and space, but it also came on the heels of that crazy summer, right? You had the Noah contract. You had Mozgov, right? Got 4 for 65. Biyombo, I believe, got a huge contract. Right. So some of this is reactionary to that, right? How much do you think that? I don't think quickly. We might say it's not a horrible contract because we are quickly believers, but you saw that he was paid to be a starting point guard, which hasn't. I don't think it's the best.
That contract's underwater right now. But like, I still think that if he gets up, he has to get back on the fucking court. That's the thing. Like, he has to play basketball games.
But do you think this is a reaction, right? These combo guards.
Yeah,
maybe not just quickly, but
there's a lot going on though, because I don't think it's just about one thing. It's also like, these are teams that, again, like, there's going to be a lot more cap space next summer. So right now we're still in like year 2 or 3 of teams of this new salary cap, CBA coming in, and teams having to like totally reevaluate, readjust their valuations, right? Like, how does this change how we manage our salary cap? What is X worth now? What is Y? Like, all these things are so different. We have to get our books in order, so then we can start building out from there. I think there's just a lot going on, and like, it's like, if you traded LaMelo Ball right now, if you're the Hornets, what would you actually get for him? Like, I don't think you're getting anything good.
You don't like the Cheetos tattoo?
But like, you're not going to get anything good, right? He doesn't play enough basketball games. He's always hurt, and he just has a bad reputation now as being like an unserious guy, and maybe the worst fucking person in the NBA behind the wheel of a car, given some of the fucking videos we've seen him zooming out of the stadium. But like, no, like, he's just, but that just, to me, that speaks to how much all of these things are now different. Like, it is different. Players' valuation is different. Like, it's just, teams are, I don't know. To me, it's the contracts and the money and all that shit has so much more. There's so much more focus on it now, because now we know about the first apron and the second apron and all these restrictions that come in with it and how it impacts your ability to build out your roster. And like I think that's a big reason why I think the Knicks were willing to trade for Bridges and Cat last offseason, because they knew they had this Brunson extension in their back pocket, and they basically knew that bought them 4 years with that core of that roster. So like there are teams now that have unwound their books, right? Like we're seeing the Suns. I mean, we saw 2 fucking teams this offseason stretch fucking millions and millions and millions of dollars on their cap as dead money for 5 fucking years moving forward. Like this is just a very strange time, I think, in the league, and there are still teams adjusting to it. Ironically, I think Cam Thomas would be a good fucking addition for the Bucks if they ever wanted to do that, but I don't know that they have anything to trade. All right, let's move on. We spent way too much time talking about Cam fucking Thomas on this podcast. Jaycee, you have the next pick.
I'm gonna keep it New York as well. I have my one Knicks take. I'm very, I wouldn't say delusional, just very passionate behind the 2024 draft class for the Knicks. Just in the sense of like, I'm kind of, even though it's not my money, it's not my assets, but I'm kind of tired of giving up an arm and a leg for just players. Specifically looking at the wings and McCullough and Dadier. I have Dadier FC under my name, but I really want them to pan out just being role players, because what we gave up for OG and Mikal, it was worth it, but it was a lot. So my positive take that I hope will happen is that one person of the 2024 class between Kolek, Dadier, Hukporti, or even McCullough end up being the 10th man, and not even in the sense of like, oh, let's not sign somebody important in a vet min. I want one of them to earn those stripes in practice, carve out it, because there is a path for Kolek being the point guard off the bench, Hukporti being the big next to Yabu, Dadier being in there as like the highest ceiling player, but just one of them, I really want them to just break out, because people automatically, they want to say, oh, we're in the contender, we can't play a young guy, but that young guy would be the 10th man who plays 10 minutes a game. Like, it's not that deep. I just want somebody to do it, to develop, so we can get out of this G League cycle, at least for one of them. But that's one, that's just one take I'll be behind, because I really like that class, and I hope they pan out.
Yeah, I definitely think they need something. This is, I think, a lot of the teams that had expensive rosters, veteran rosters, drafting late. Right? You saw, I think that really hurt Golden State quite a bit. They weren't hitting on those picks. That's something San Antonio did well for a long time. That helped kind of maintain their dynasty. So definitely agree. I would say we already have one guy who I think already looks like a viable NBA player in Hukporti. When he played, the physical tools are there. Still was figuring out what to do and where to be, but generally good feel on defense, right? And the stuff that without experience you need, he has. Actually can give you a little bit more on offense than, not more in terms of total impact, because Mitch is just an insane offensive rebounder, but like taking passes off the short roll, making a read. He can show that. So I think with Hukporti, I'm pretty confident. I think if I had to pick one guy, he also we know that Mitch and Cat are going to miss time, right? So I think the path is clearest for him. They didn't bring back Precious. So if I had to bet, I'd probably say Hukporti. Dadier, I was impressed in Summer League. It was a little bit quiet, but the guy just knows where to be in the right place. We've heard reports that in practice he shot the ball really well. So I think that he would be next. McCullough, I don't know how well his game scales. He's not a great shooter. The defense was great in college. It hasn't popped the same way, at least from what I've watched. So I think that path is a little bit more blocked than a guy like Dadier, who does, in theory, if he's a great shooter, he has the big tools, and just a lot younger. So on the steeper part of that curve, I think that bodes well. But I think Dadier is probably still a year away. And then the one I'm not down on Kolek. I know everyone kind of overreacted to Summer League. I just think there are two guards who we've seen a pretty backups beyond Brunson, right? We've seen a pretty substantial sample of Clarkson and Deuce McBride being useful NBA players. Like Kolek would have to. I don't think he's not replacing Deuce in the rotation. Right? Deuce has a very unique skill set. They don't have another point of attack defender like him, and I just don't think he'll as an offense first guy. I don't see a world in which he's better than Jordan Clarkson this year. If they had kept campaign, I think that would have been a realistic thing. So with Kolek, I don't know what happens with him. He's probably the one I'm again, this is not just an evaluation. This is not purely an evaluation of him as a player. I think that guy has the chops to be a backup point guard who gives you some passing. I just don't think he's passing the guys in front of him. So I think that's how I'd rank my optimism is Huckporty, then Dadier, and then I would put McCullough and Kolek as guys I don't expect to be contributors this year. But I think another thing, you kind of hinted at this, right? There was no such thing as a 10th guy really regularly with Tibbs. We saw Rick Carlisle, Jarris Walker hadn't played in several games. Suddenly he's thrown in the middle of a playoff series. I don't know if it'll be that extreme, but I think you'll see these random games where they're either resting guys, right? So that provides the most opportunity for Huckporty, but they might rest Brunson at times. That opens up a shot for Kolek, right? We've seen him do well in that role. OG was fairly healthy last year, but either he'll rest or he'll miss some games. So that opens up minutes for Dadier. And in general, I think in some of these games where they build big leads, or there will be a little bit more experimentation. So you might see 10th, 11th, 12th all get some shots, even if they don't surpass the guys. But I think if I had to bet on one, it's Huckporty, but I don't even know how much of a bet that is. I think he's proven himself. And then
it's hard too, not knowing who's going to be the fifth starter. Like if Mitch comes off the bench, then it has to be something else. But I definitely agree.
Well, I will see what the starting lineup looks like. That'll be pretty interesting.
Well, there was a report that there's support for Hart again, which
I'm not reading fucking reports in end of July about who's in. Give me a break. We'll figure that out. I think Huckporty's going to be a rotation player. Like, I don't know if he's going to be a starting caliber center, but I think he'll be a rotation caliber center. I've seen enough to feel pretty comfortable with his trajectory. Like, and the stuff that he's not so good at. I mean, look, he's not a particularly good shooter. The free throw shooting and it's very Mitch as a free throw shooter, but he's capable. He's much more capable than Mitch, I should say, just to do things with the ball in his hands. We saw him, his floater is actually pretty nice. He's got a pretty decent floater. He's got some decent short roll playmaking flashes. I think that's real stuff that you can work with. He's a big body. Like, he should be a good screen setter. I think he's shown signs of being a really good screen setter. So those are all really good things. And the stuff that he's not that good at defensively, like a lot of it to me is usually like he seems better on switches than he does executing like drop or hedging or anything like that, which to me speaks more of like it doesn't look like an athletic limitation. It looks like that's a young guy figuring it out. And what that indicates to me is he just needs more reps. He needs more reps at NBA game speed. And we'll see that. Like, it's also quite telling to me, if I don't think I'm wrong on this, I don't think he played with Westchester at all this year. I don't recall, but I don't remember him going down to Westchester. I think he was with the Knicks basically the whole year, which to me speaks to like, okay, they're not actually even that worried about he needs to get seasoning. And it's like, no, he's ready, or he's probably too good for that level. And we want to see him at this level. I think there's a lot of internal support for him, would be my guess. And I would not be surprised to see him be in the rotation, maybe even starting the season.
He has the Dolan stamp too, so.
That's right. Mr. Dolan went into the locker room and shook his hand and gave him kind words of encouragement. So that was a really funny random story. So I feel pretty good about him. Kolek, I don't know. I don't think Summer League is really the place to evaluate him based on just like what his skill set and stuff is. So whatever. People think that's a cop out, can be a cop out. I saw enough of him in his rookie year that I think like I'm not sure there's a lot of high upside there. In fact, I would go as far as to say that there isn't high upside there. But like, can he be a guy who plays 10 to 15 minutes a night in a rotation off the bench and like helps you run an offense and stuff like that? Sure. Yeah, I think it's fine. If his fucking ceiling is like he's, white boy Tyus Jones for the rest of his career, that's probably pretty okay for a 34th or whatever, 35th, whatever fucking pick he was, 36th pick, I think. Dadier, probably, I think he's just like a year away. Like, I don't know. I'm not that worried about him, but I think he might need more time to just keep getting used to the speed of things. And with him, I don't know. With him, I'm just like, he needs to just fucking. I think he drifts too much in games. I think there are times where, like, when I've seen him and he's too comfortable, like, oh shit, Marjan Beauchamp wants to cook. Like, let me go hang out here in the corner. I just need him to, like, kind of understand, like, you are allowed to go do things too, and you're allowed to look for shots and look for your offense and be more aggressive. So it was good. I actually was pretty encouraged by his defense last year when he did get moments to play. So I'm still in on the vision of what Dadier is. We'll see how that turns out. And McCullough, it's like, we'll see with him. I'm not. He was the 56th pick or whatever he was, 58th pick. Or no, he was 56th. Huck Porty was 58th. He's had a bunch of injuries. The shooting is certainly an adventure, but you can see the little Josh Hart flashes. I'm not convinced all of them are going to make it. In fact, the odds are very much against that. But like, if you can get two guys out of that draft, just two guys that can be in a rotation, I would consider that a pretty massive success given the resources that the Knicks were working with, and just like that draft itself was not seen as like a high quality draft. All right, Stacy, next pick.
So I'm gonna get us back to a more negative, hater-oriented place.
We're going back home.
I've been saying since the playoffs that the Detroit Pistons were the COVID Knicks 2020-21. They overachieved behind heliocentric offense of a guy who I don't think is quite there. I think he's better than Randall, but and they lost some vets. They lost some important vets. They lost Tim Hardaway Jr. They lost Dennis Schroeder. And I think the talk as well, that if they had Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart, the Knicks series would have been different. I think Jaden Ivey would have been, if he's taking minutes from either of the guys I mentioned, Hardaway or Schroeder, that's a downgrade. I think Schroeder was arguably their second best player of that series. So I am not sold on Ivey as a positive NBA player yet, but he's young and talented. You could prove me wrong. And Stewart's a good player, but I don't think that was changing that series. I think they're betting on internal development. I've been a bit of a Jalen Duren hater, but his trajectory is quite good. So we'll see if he makes the next step, if he becomes a truly consistent high-level defender. But I'm pretty low on the Pistons. I think the Magic are clearly better than them. Maybe they finish with the 4th seed, but if they play the Knicks again, especially with better coaching, I think they get swept. I don't think they can beat Cleveland. I don't think they're a better team than Orlando. And I mean, I'm not as high in the Hawks, but even that's a challenge for them. So, I'm on the Detroit Piston hater agenda.
I don't really know where I stand on them. I actually think there's a world where they're the 3rd best team in the East. But one, some of that is a function of like the East is fucking, 2 of the best teams in the East basically are not going to be doing shit next year. So that's kind of a big deal. And then, the Atlanta thing, the more I think about it, I'm like, if Porzingis isn't healthy, which, he's not going to be healthy the whole year, are we sure that like the additions they made are enough? And then with Orlando, I have my own questions about them. The main thing with Detroit is like, I'm very skeptical of Cade as I think that the gas he's gotten from that postseason series is very fucking extreme, given that he was a turnover machine, did not score efficiently, did not get to the rim, which, he doesn't get to the rim. And yeah, like I didn't come away thinking he was terrible or anything, but I didn't come away being like, oh my God, this guy, he's got next up in the East or something. Like I just didn't have that feeling coming out of it. And there is some like Memphis Grizzlies energy to this team where they're, remember when Grizzlies lost in the 2nd round to the Warriors and it was like, oh, this team is so young and they're fun. And this is just the start of of their run and they're going to be this fucking thing. And I'm like, I mean, I didn't really buy into that then. I was like, they're really good, but things change quite fast. And, with the Pistons, like they're good. They have young pieces that should get better. I'm still not sure that we know that all of them work ideally together. In fact, I would argue that we probably know that they don't. And I like Asar Thompson a lot. I think he's really fun. I think he's going to be a hell of a player. I think the offense is pretty rough. I think it's really fucking rough. And as much as they gave the Knicks a hard time, like there's a reason why the Knicks front office, their takeaway after the postseason was like, yeah, we're going to fire the head coach. Like that's part of it. Like they were like, this team should not be in. Why are we in a dogfight with the Pistons? And if there's any, for whatever reason, a Pistons fan listen to this and they're offended by that, it's not really an insult. Like I'm just saying, I don't view they're not a good offensive team. And you mentioned the guys who lost, like Malik Beasley. Yeah, good luck to him with everything that he's got going on. But like that guy was actually fucking really good for them, and they lost. I mean, he was like the second most prolific 3-point shooter in the league last year, after Anthony Edwards, and I think he made more threes than Steph Curry last season. Tim Hardaway Jr. hit a shit ton of threes for them last season. Like, I'm not sure that Duncan Robinson. I would say Duncan Robinson is certainly not as good as Malik Beasley was last year, and he was, maybe as good as Tim Hardaway Jr. last year. I don't know. I'd rather have just given Tim Hardaway Jr. the veteran minimum he got with Denver to keep him instead of paying Duncan Robinson. Losing Schroeder, I kind of think that is a big deal for them. Now, maybe Jaden Ivey can replace that. I'm not sold on that. We'll see. I don't know. Him and Cade have not been great together when they've played. Their season kind of took off when he got hurt. Isaiah Stewart is fine if if he can stay on the floor instead of trying to assault people. But like they just, I don't know. To me, this feels like a team that's get a little high on their own supply, a little big in their britches, as they like to say. And I think there's some hubris there. It's probably the best way I'd put it. I think there's some hubris, and it would not surprise me. They're not going to fall off. They're not going to be terrible, but it would not surprise me if there's maybe more of a rocky start to their season than people would think.
I also think their vets were the biggest reason they stayed in most of the games. Like I feared Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway and Malik Beasley. Like they were making their shots, and I think Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert are good players, but like you said, the free agents, the vets they lost, they were very important to their success. Even though they didn't win that many games, it was just like the playoffs. So I think if it comes internally, they could do something, but there is not that much offensive ceiling for players outside of Cade. I'm not a believer in Ivy. I think the Thompson twins, they have to like that. I like their defense, but they do have to figure out that shot because Asar was just getting played off the floor. So I think I'm not too high on their young players. Like Duren is cool. Isaiah Stewart, he's more foul heavy. So yeah, I'm not the biggest believer in the Pistons either.
Yeah, I don't know. The Pistons they're fine, whatever. But that entire crust of Eastern Conference teams, I'm getting a little annoyed hearing about how fucking great their off seasons have been. All right, I have the next one here. So back on hater mode, and I'm just hating on this out of pure I am so sick and tired of hearing about it. He's probably gonna have a monster season, so this is gonna age stupidly, but I don't care. I'm just so fucking sick of it. And he should have a monster season. Luka Doncic. I don't want to hear about how this guy's in shape. You're a fucking professional athlete. You have been a professional athlete. First of all, he's been a professional athlete since he was fucking 16. We've had stories about him being in shape, taking his conditioning seriously in the offseason every fucking year since 2022. Oh, yeah, no, this is it. This was the wake-up call because they lost in the first round. Oh, because they lost to the Celtics in the finals. And then he comes back, and initially he looks okay, and then somehow the guy puts on 20 fucking pounds in season, and he ended up looking fucking just a big blob out there in the middle of the season at some points. Can he just do it? Can he just actually stayed in shape for a whole season, put together and deliver? Like, is that something you can do instead of? I don't need the men's health article that was written by like an AI chat GPT fucking robot that was just blatantly lying about shit. Like, I don't need that. Who needs like just get on the floor and just fucking play because nobody's questioning the talent. Nobody questions if he's capable of it. It's just like, can you be in shape enough to do it? That's on him. That's not on anybody else. And yeah, like I don't even know what the hell like. I'm just fading him because I'm so sick of this. I'm sick of hearing about this condition he's in and all this shit. Be in shape. Like, be in shape. And also maybe learn how to play off the ball a little bit. Maybe learn how to defend sometimes. That would be good. Compete a little bit on the defensive end of the floor. I think those would be good things for him to do. Also, like, I think he had 2 dunks all of last season. Go back and watch this guy's, like, go watch his highlights from his first 2 years in the league.
When he had a 42-inch vertical?
Yeah, when he was basically Michael Jordan. Yeah, like listen, but actually go watch them. He's like giving guys posters, like he's postering guys, and now he 2 dunks last year. I mean, you could just see it with him last year. He didn't have it, and then he got injured midway through the season and this thing, and it's like I don't want to fucking hear about that shit, man. I don't want to hear about you had injured because you're the only fucking guy that got injured midway through the last season. Jalen Brunson got hurt midway through last season. And he came back like 2 weeks before the playoffs, and then was fucking ready to go and cooking guys up all postseason long. Like, you have the responsibility. You are the franchise player. You've been the franchise player. You were the franchise player in Dallas, and now you're gonna be the franchise player with the Lakers. And he's gonna take that big fat max extension this offseason. That we know that's happening in August, basically. Like, I don't think he needs to get credit for this shit. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be in shape. You're supposed to be at the peak of your powers. You're supposed to take this shit seriously, and you're supposed to deliver on the court as a result of all that work. So I'm fading any fucking praise for this guy getting in shape. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm selling him. I'm selling this off. I'm selling his fucking bullshit PR tour that's going on right now. We got the men's health piece yesterday. Today we got a big piece in the Athletic about how now everything is different. Let's see it. Let's fucking see it. And until I see it, I am skeptical of it.
I think it's all incentive related. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a hater and I'm on the same boat, but it's because he's doing that Jordan, like his shoe tour or whatever. He was in Yankee Stadium yesterday talking to Aaron Judge and Chisholm, and he was on commentary. He didn't even look like he wanted to be there, and then also that he's gonna get that big extension from the Lakers. So I just think it's all like they told them do it probably for face. I don't think it's for the season.
How many innings was he on? I heard he was on the broadcast for a long time yesterday.
It was like 3 or 4, but like he just wasn't. It wasn't long answers. It's just gay. They asked him if he's ever played baseball. He was like, "Yeah, on the Wii." And Michael K was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And that was just like, it was very awkward. It just felt forced.
Didn't he ask him about Tibbs?
Yeah, he was like, "How do you like New York? How do you like the Knicks?" They ended up talking about different stuff. He asked like 5 Laker questions and getting traded, and I was just like, "Yeah, he's just here for the money." I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is and why people are talking about it is I think there's this hope. It's why people still liked Embiid even after we didn't. Because when you see a guy with that much talent, as a basketball fan, you're like, you want to see him reach it, right? So I think it's not so much that he's getting the benefit of the doubt for doing, like you said, just what you're supposed to do. But if this was him, if he's still dropping 25, 30 and near triple doubles constantly without being in shape, imagine if he is in shape. Can he maintain it for a season? I don't know. I wonder if the change of scenery will help. Even, he's next to LeBron now, right? Who clearly takes his conditioning very seriously. We do know that the Mavs org was a little bit of a shit show. Maybe those things help. And maybe being traded. These are not the kind of guys that are supposed to be traded, right? So as much as that was because Nico Harrison was doing Nico Harrison things, maybe that was a wake-up call. You'll never know until we see it. But we've seen it elsewhere, right? We saw KD for a year completely change his play style before reverting. So maybe it's only 1 year and Luka gets paid and it's over. But I think that's what people are latching onto. But I do think like the overwhelming amount of look at him is like, all right, relax. Like there are guys who have committed themselves to it. His teammate is probably the best example for their entire career, and it's table stakes. And if you're not doing that, if you aren't why weren't you doing that before? It becomes a question, right? And why should we believe that it's going to last even more than 1 year, or even a full year?
All right, Jaycee, third pick.
Mine is a little general, but I am in the camp of being jealous of how OKC's franchise had come about with all their assets and players and championship. So I will say that I'll be rooting for the field in the West. Last year, it was fun seeing OKC rise and win so many games and whatever, but I kind of dislike some players and their fans are very cocky, putting Shea in crazy conversations as well, like saying he passed D Wade already, talking about peaks of like next to Kobe. So I will be rooting for the field, even though it's a little difficult because I couldn't tell you who the second best team in the West is. You have like Houston that added KD, that's fine, and then you have the senior citizen care and the Clippers, but I'll be rooting for the field to go against them. I don't want a repeat champion.
Stacy, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten annoying, right? Just the blazing of Sam Presti. Just this is doing it the right way as a small market, blah, 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 blah. I don't dislike their players as much as I think other people do. I like seeing unique guys do well. I was a Holmgren believer in the draft. I think a lot of people who I disagree with were like emphatically like, nah, this guy's too skinny, he's whatever. I've liked seeing Holmgren play well. SGA's career growth has been fun to watch. Yeah, they've been fucking annoying. And I'll say this, I live in Seattle now. So it's a very easy mantle for me to embrace is hating the Thunder. They were rooting for the Thunder, by the way, or for the Pacers hardcore. And you'd ask them like, are you from Indiana? Nope, but fuck the Thunder. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it feels, remember when Joe, like, I don't know if this is ownership saying this from Oakland City, but the conversation around them is like, there was this whole article where like Joe Lacob was like, yeah, we run this like a venture capital firm and we're just the smartest team, team with the Warriors. That was a team I did like, and that made them fucking annoying and obnoxious. I actually think, to your point, Jaycee, I do think the Clippers have quietly, they look really good. They're depending a lot on Kawhi, which is, it's risky. But they've quietly become a pretty good team. Harden has quietly been still pretty good. I think they have the ability to cause some problems for the Thunder. So I think it's realistic. And like, this is just, I mean, they got taken to 7 games. So as much as they've been glazed, twice, right? And the 7th game, they might have lost. I mean, as much as like, while we're on the hater subject, as much as it pains me to say this, Halliburton was kind of on fire to begin that game.
Well, it's not just games like, so people will be like, well, Indiana made that crazy comeback in game 1, right? So it's like, oh, well, okay. OKC had a pretty wild comeback in game 4 of that series too. So like, it's not, I agree with you. Like, I think you give them a credit for winning the championship because they won the championship, right? There's nothing else to say from that. But their regular season dominance clearly did not carry over into the postseason at the level that it was expected to. I mean, I think they would have 100% beat Memphis anyway. But even game 3 against Memphis, right? They were down like 30, where the fuck it was. And then Ja gets hurt, and then they make that crazy comeback in that game. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely like a great basketball team. I would just, and I know they're young, so I know like, okay, Jalen Williams is going to get better, and Chet's going to get better, and whatever, and Casey Wallace and all these guys. I just think when you're at the top, and especially when you're at the top in their position where they have all these picks and their cap sheet is kind of under control and all this type of stuff, that's really when you want to be adding talent to freshen things up and to keep your competition behind you. Because if you don't do things, if you don't add talent, if you don't add bodies and players, that's how teams catch up. That's how teams catch up. That's like the hallmark of being overconfident is just kind of sitting on your laurels. Now, maybe they're not going to do that. And again, it has to be said, just because they have a million fucking picks, they did draft Thomas Sorber in the first round, and he's a player people seem to really like, and he might be a Hertenstein replacement in a year. But like, you want to add talent when you're at the top, and if you don't do that, that's generally how teams catch up, right? It's not because you're losing talent; it's more that you're not adding talent. Now, maybe they'll be more immune to that than other extended champions have been, because they are young and they have all these picks, and maybe they'll be able to add talent as they go on accordingly. But I would, to me, it's like, I think it's a mistake to just kind of run it back the way they are. My takeaway from watching that postseason would not have been like, if we just run it back, we're fine. Like, I would have looked at that postseason and been like, yeah, maybe we could use another guy that could fucking run the offense here and viably do it. Maybe they're projecting Chet's going to turn into that kind of guy. I don't see that.
Well, Jalen Williams also had a pretty encouraging. I mean, it was up and down, but his good games were.
Well, did you know he hurt his wrist, dude? I don't know if they talked about that enough. He hurt his wrist, and nobody's ever played with a hurt wrist before in the history of basketball. So we should probably praise him to the high heavens. No, like he's obviously very good, but I just think I don't look at their roster and think, wow, like, okay, set aside SGA, Chet, and Jalen. Set those guys aside. Like, I don't know enough about Thomas Sorber to say anything, so I'm not going to say anything about him. But like Cason Wallace, like, I like him. I don't think he's going to be like a guy that I trust with the ball in his hands a bunch ever. Caruso, no. Like, I mean, arguably he might be declining at this point in his career. They have to manage his minutes very carefully, if nothing else. Hartenstein, I mean, at this point, we're 2 years, seeing 2 consecutive playoff runs with him where like he's dropped off in the playoffs. He's not been able to be as impactful in the playoffs. I think that says something. And then like Isaiah Joe, he basically didn't play in the postseason. Who's the other guy? Aaron Wiggins, another guy, basically didn't play. Then they have big Jalen Williams, who's like doesn't really play serious.
He's there for the memes.
Yeah, he's the celebration guy. He's a good meme guy. He's a great meme guy, to be fair. And like, I don't know. Like, I don't think they're as loaded and as deep as people believe. They don't add talent. That's when teams catch up. It sounds good as everybody says, but you don't have to be. You have Nikola Jokic again, so like, adding a guy like Cam Johnson, adding a guy like, even Tim Hardaway Jr. or whatever. Like, I guess like what I'm saying is the threshold for what they need to add doesn't need to be that high, because Jokic can elevate guys so much around him. Like, he gets the most out of so many players. I think they had a really, like, not a perfect offseason, but one that meaningfully, to me, could make a difference in a series against OKC. And, we'll see what happens to OKC. I mean, Houston's obviously has a great offseason as well. I think Minnesota is a threat, but I don't like their matchup against OKC at all. We saw that play out in the Western Conference Finals. Maybe the Lakers can make a move. I'm not so sure, but things always happen, right? We always see teams creep up. I think I would probably take Denver to win the West if I was picking today, but I'm not picking today. So there's that. All right, Stacy. Jaycee had to head out, unfortunately, but me and Stacy are going to finish up our portion. And Stacy, you have your third pick right
now. Third pick. Yeah, I'll go the opposite way of what you did. I'm high on the Lakers still. I think they're it comes down to this, right? They have a guy who's capable of playing like the best player on the floor. They have 2 guys that can take over a game and be the best player on the floor. They have one who can't do that every night because he's 40 or whatever. You have another. We discussed why not, right? That is a hell of a lot of talent, though. That's 2 MVP caliber players when they're on, right? LeBron is his own thing because of his age. I like what that team has done. I like, some of their off-season acquisitions. I know that what was it? Laravia. I know maybe they got a little bit too much credit, but there's a reason I wanted him on the Knicks. I think he's a good combo forward for them. I think in year 2, they have some. There should be some improvement. DeAndre Ayton's in a contract year. Is he a reliable guy for the long term? No. Can that add some much needed rim protection for them? Absolutely. I like the Lakers quite a bit, finishing top 2 or 3 in the West, maybe. And look, in a playoff series, you have 2 guys that can take over. You have 2 guys that can be the best player on the floor, even if you're playing Denver, even if you're playing Oklahoma City. So yeah, I'm high on the Lakers. That's kind of an agenda I have.
I'm not high on them. I don't think they can guard the ball. I don't think they're athletic. I don't believe in DeAndre Ayton as a serious basketball player at this point. He just hasn't been a serious basketball player for about 3 years now. I'm not going to buy Luka doing anything on defense until I actually see him do something on defense. Reeves can't defend, and I thought they got exposed in that postseason series. I think they got exposed. Like, I know that there was a lot of Luka was hurt. All this, I don't buy any of that bullshit. I think Luka was fat. I'm not sure that he's not going to be not fat next time he's in a playoff series. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, he and honestly, he did not play that well in the postseason the year before when they made the finals. Like, go look at his playoff numbers. His efficiency was terrible. And constantly throughout that playoffs, we had to hear every time he had a bad shooting game, oh, his knee. Oh, my God, look at his knee. Oh, my God, his knee is in such bad condition. Oh, my God, his knee is in such bad condition. So it's like, pick a struggle, man. Are you hurt? Are you out of shape? Are you like, what's happening? I'm not in on this team at all. I think that they have too much shit going on. It's very obvious to me that LeBron is not happy with the organization. I think that LeBron is excellent at passive aggressively handling things when he is not happy about a situation. And I think he will do the LeBron and express those feelings throughout. So I'm not in on them for that reason. And part is just like, I haven't seen it. I don't think they have the assets. I don't think they have the talent on the roster that would want and covet. And like, that's it. Like, I don't believe it. And then their stated plan is they want to keep their cap sheet open and like they want to keep cap space open for 2027. So you're already restricting the type of talent that you would even be willing to go get. I'm not big on this team, and I think you're right. I think they'll win a lot of regular season games. Like, they're good. They're a good team. Obviously, they're not bad. But when your big offseason move in a conference with the kind of talent that you see at the top, that your big move was you got DeAndre Ayton on a buyout, you got Marcus Smart on a buyout, and you added Jake LaRavia while losing Dorian Finney-Smith, which I personally am fine with that. Like, I don't think that's like a big. I mean, maybe it's a downgrade, but it's fine. I think to get younger there. Yeah, I'm just not into that. I think Marcus Smart can't defend the point. He can't defend the ball anymore. Can't defend the point of attack. So who's going to do that on this team? And if nobody can do that on this team, yeah, I don't think DeAndre Ayton is good enough to fix the defense, even if he was committed, which, again, I'm not. I don't know that DeAndre Ayton's going to be committed, but maybe they can get him to stop playing fucking Call of Duty or whatever and lock in.
We'll have to see. It's your pick.
Okay. I'm going to go with a team that I think I'm higher on than most people. And I will say, I think Milwaukee wins. I think they finish with the 4 seed. That's my hot take. Giannis is still the best player in the conference.
What about
He
Brunson?
is- I'm still going to give it to Giannis over Brunson right now. He's the best player in the conference. I think Miles Turner is good. Like, I find the conversation around him very weird where I'm like, he's good. So that's like, you can be mad and think what they did is stupid, which I'm not all the way there, but I would not have done it. You can be mad about that, but they got Miles Turner, which I think is good. And as much as I like Brook Lopez, to me, Miles Turner is better than Brook Lopez in 2025. That's not very controversial. He's a perfect fit next to Giannis. You're right. We already have proof of concept with that. So that to me is good. You took him away from a division rival who you'll play 4 times and is already out Tyrese Halliburton the entire season. So that's good. I don't mind them bringing back like I don't have no love lost for Kevin Porter Jr., but like he actually played well for them, relatively speaking, when he got there. So that's kind of interesting to me. I think Gary Trent Jr. coming back is also good. Like I'm fine with what they've done in the offseason. And I don't know that losing Damian Lillard actually hurts them this upcoming season as much as it might seem, purely because him and Giannis didn't ever really play well off of each other. It almost felt like both of them played their best right when the other was out. So I'm gonna guess that you get like he wouldn't be my favorite. I think you get a decent value on Giannis for MVP. He's talked about like after last season, he talked about like how this is kind of like he wants to be a point guard and see all the like have the ball in his hands and make all the plays and shit. Well, you're gonna have that opportunity this season, and I know he's had more injuries the last couple of years than he has in the past. I'm just gonna guess that he stays more healthy this season. Just total guesswork there. Yeah, I don't mind what they did. I think they had an okay offseason. If in the view of looking at it for this upcoming season. And I don't love this roster, that's for damn sure. But they do have a good amount of shooting. They have Giannis, and they have what should be a good defensive front court, right? In terms of Giannis and Miles Turner. That should be a good defensive front court. I think they'll be fine. I think as far, again, regular season, postseason, I have no faith in them at all, like zero. But in the regular season, I think Giannis, good shooting, and a good defensive front court probably can win you a lot of regular season basketball games. And I don't know. I just feel like he's hungry. I feel like Giannis is hungry. This is a good one for him.
You think Luka's hungry?
What do you think Luka's ordering?
In and out, double with cheese, animal style. No, I mean, I think I would agree. I mean, I think 4 seed just isn't saying that much in the East.
I know, but I feel like every conversation about them is like, well, oh my God, Orlando's past them, and Atlanta's past them, and Detroit's past them, and like maybe they are. I don't think those are crazy takes. I just feel like it's weird to talk about a team that has Giannis on it and act like there's no world where they could win 48 games and make get the 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean, there's still be a pain in the ass to play in the regular season. I don't think they have if they get that 4 seed. I do think that Cavs will be the 1 seed again. I think they are just equipped to be a great regular season team, and in a way that I don't think the Knicks quite will be. In the regular season, I give the Knicks an edge in a 7-game series. Yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't disagree with much of what you said. I thought Turner was one of the most important players in that Pacers run. It's a very rare skill set to have a guy who can shoot, who can protect the rim. I think it was Shax who was mentioned that Turner's defense was actually much worse last year. So that'll be interesting. His on-off wasn't great. I think they actually had a higher.
That was the postseason, just to be specific. Yeah.
So they had a worse defensive rating with Turner on than the Knicks had with Cat. I don't know how much. I mean, from what I can see, Turner's not a guy you want to challenge at the rim a ton. But that should, that gives you rim protection, gives you spacing. Giannis is still going to do Giannis things. He's not going to take as many games off probably as a lot of other stars. I think they have Giannis. Yeah, he's the best player in the East. So I'm also just down. I'm higher on Orlando than you, but I'm not high on Detroit or Atlanta. Specifically not high on. I think people are massively overrating Detroit based on the playoff run last year. Run, if you can call it that, right? They played the Knicks very tough in every game, but we've talked enough about that. I can see Milwaukee being as high as the 3 seed. I think they're in that 3 to 6 range. I don't see anyone besides maybe one of those teams passing them. There's people sneakily glazing Miami. I don't really see that. Toronto, I don't really love the Ingram move for them. Although I do have a take on Toronto. I think, I would generally agree that the Bucks are probably being. I think the part of it is, it's this overreaction, right? It's the same thing. When a team is just like, well, you had Giannis and Dame, you had that window. You're not a contender. You're not going to be a contender during Giannis's prime, or during the next few years of Giannis's prime. That's probably true, and that's going to make you low on this team. But to your point, given how weak the East is, and given how good Giannis still is, they're probably not. The bottom isn't going to fall out. Right? Maybe that's what they wanted, right? They wanted to do enough to show Giannis, hey, you're not going to be playing, for lottery odds. We're still going to try to compete. They're going to put tickets put fans in the stands. They won't be a playing team. They have some mobility within that 3 to 6 range for sure, and I do like them still better than, at least in the same tier as Detroit and Atlanta.
All right. You got next.
Emmanuel quickly will have a bounce back year. That's my agenda. I don't think he's been put in a great position. The Ingram trade does worry me a little bit there. But when he's played, he's managed to facilitate. His numbers haven't been bad. It's been a matter of staying healthy. I think because of, as you've talked about, some of the dysfunction they've had, strategically and all that, his defensive impact has suffered. But if everyone's at full strength, maybe playing in a weaker East, I expect that to resurge. And I think after next season, he'll be looked at as at least a neutral contract, if not a positive. But I am expecting a bounce back from Emmanuel quickly next year.
I agree. I think if he stays healthy, he'll be fine. I think he is probably, in a lot of ways, it's so I can't believe I'm saying this because I just listened to Zach Lowe talk about this on a podcast, so I'm like biting off of his opinion, even though I've had this opinion forever. I think he's like pretty much the most important player on that starting lineup because nobody else can credibly space the floor. If they have any success, I'm almost positive that he will be like critical to that success.
You have to think. It sounds like RJ is going to get traded at some point, right? So.
Yeah, I just don't know who. I mean, I don't know who the hell's trading for RJ, but I don't know who the hell was going to trade for RJ when we traded him. So maybe they can trade him and Emmanuel quickly for like a super awesome 3-and-D wing or something. But like, yeah, I'm always going to believe in him until the reason for his struggles are not he's hurt or he's in and out of the lineup or whatever. I'm always just going to believe in that guy. I think he cares about the right things. He's willing to do whatever the team asks him to do. And now he's been paid, right? So it's not even like he's playing for a contract. I'm never worried about the intangible stuff with him. Not worried about him. I'm not worried about his weight fluctuating in season. I'm not, all that stuff to me is pretty clean. For him, it's like stay healthy and get back to finishing in and around the rim the way he was his kind of last year in New York. If he can do that, then yeah, he's going to be a really big player for them. But yeah, rooting for him. We'll see what he does. Okay, I have my last pick, and I'm going negative with this one. And my pick it's a double pick here. You get 2 for 1. This is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely fun for all of those who have long despised and hated and wanted nothing good for the city of Boston. I think the Celtics are going to be fucking bad. Like, I just think they're going to be bad. I do not think this team is good. And the second part of this is we are going to see exactly what Jaylen Brown is this season without Jason Tatum there to hold his hand. I think that Jaylen Brown is probably one of the most overrated players in the league. He had one truly good season.
Is he better than DeAndre Hunter?
Yes, he is better than DeAndre Hunter. We definitely don't need to argue about that ever again in life. DeAndre Hunter, who famously led the Cavaliers to massive postseason success this year.
He got as far as Brown did.
No, they finished one game earlier. Jaylen Brown getting it done. No, he's an overrated player and overpaid, obviously. And I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what it looks like when Jaylen Brown gets to run the show for a full year. Their front court is fucking awful. It is so bad, man. I don't know if people they lost Horford, Porzingis, and Kornet. Those are three guys that I think absolutely would be in the Knicks rotation, if not starting, if they were on the team for us this year. This is what they have in their front court right now. Jordan Walsh, Sam Hauser, Nimius Keita, Hugo Gonzalez, Xavier Tillman, Josh Minot, George Niang. That's the front court. They also signed, what's his name? The other guy. Garza. They got Luke Garza. So that's really great. The ball handling is fine, probably, maybe, okay, for regular season between Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. But you also lost Drew Holiday. So you lost 4 of your, 8 best rotation guys in terms of Drew, in terms of Horford, Porzingis, and Kornet. And then the other part of this is I've just heard way too much of people who probably know some shit, say some shit, kind of hint at they would love nothing more than to get out of the tax. And they will look to do that no matter how, they want that to be kind of how it happens. So I'm not even sure Anthony Simons plays a game for them. I could totally see them moving him on prior to the season starting if possible. They do have to shave a little bit of salary, which shouldn't be hard for them. It's like $300,000. They're over to the second apron or whatever. They're going to duck that, no question. But I think they'll have an incentive to lose games. They will have I think by 30 games into the season, they're going to look around and they're going to be like, we're not good. We're not good. This team is not going anywhere this year. There's no reason to ask Jaylen Brown and Derek White to play a bunch of fucking minutes. I think they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be very bad. And I think they're going to lean into being bad. So we should enjoy it. It will be a good time for all of us. And I look forward to 82 games of that, to be quite honest.
I'm probably a little bit higher on them than you. I think Pritchard can move into that starting lineup. They still have Derek White, who I think he will do more creation than Brown, to be honest. I think there's an argument he's a better player than Jaylen Brown. The front court does kind of suck, even though I like Neemias Queta, and I like Niang still. They're not going to be one of the best teams, but the East really sucks. So I don't know how even if they tank, they really have to shut down to the point where it might raise some eyebrows at the league office. I don't think they're going to I don't think they're going to be dog shit. They still have a good coach in Missoula. I think they are not going they're going to steal a game or two here and there against good teams on back to backs. I don't think the bottom is going to fall out. I actually think that's more of a risk with Indiana, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I'm not even sure. Are we sure Missoula is actually a great coach? Because I know Rick Carlisle is a great coach. I know that.
I think Missoula is a pretty good coach.
I think he's a good coach, but I think
the shine came off a little bit in that Knicks series, but I think that was also
he's had pretty great rosters up until now. Like he's had very, 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 very good rosters.
But he's done a
up until
pretty
now.
good job of maximizing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he's had the betting favorite to win the title the last 3 years running. Betting favorite to win the title, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Boston was the favorite. Or they were the second favorite in 2023 when Denver won. They were definitely the favorite in the East. But he's had a fucking heavy betting favorite the last 3 years. I'm not convinced Joe Mazzulla is a great coach. I think he's got a very specific way he plays that has, he's obviously very good at maximizing the whole 5-out fucking thing. They don't have a 5-out anymore. What's the 5-out? You're going to have Luke Garza. I'm scared of Luke Garza. Fucking stretch 5. Like, I'm very interested to see what this team looks like now that Mazzulla is going to have to do, like, real fucking coaching. Not just like, oh, Porzingis is out tonight. I guess Al Horford and Luke Cornett will play some more. I am curious to see it. I want to see it. The streets want to see it. Everybody wants to see it. All New Yorkers want to see it. My dad does not want to see it, but I do. All right. I think that's our call to get out of here. Stacy, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
You can find me at StacyPatton89 on Twitter. I'll plug, if you're a baseball fan, Matt Miranda had a good piece on the Mets on the Strickland, so check that out if you get a chance.
Yes, it was a really good piece. I have nothing to plug, so I'll echo those sentiments. Check out the piece that I wrote. Other than that, just keep listening to the pods and enjoy your summer. Watch some movies. It's a good time. Been a good movie summer, so definitely recommend getting out there. All right, that is our show for today. Hope everybody has a great evening, and I'll see you on Friday. Peace.